What you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
Yes, it is what's happening. It actually is what's happening. What you're seeing with your own eyes and what you're hearing with your own ears. That was President Trump yesterday turning into George Orwell in 1984. CNN has learned exclusively that the White House will no longer tell the public when the president speaks to foreign leaders. They are suspending this long-standing practice of releasing summaries of those phone calls to the public. What has happened to transparency? Joining us now is David Gregory and CNN Global Affairs analyst Max Boot. Max, tell me if you agree with this. I feel as though something shifted in Helsinki. Something happened in Helsinki where it was really sort of the most crystal clear first time where the public didn't have to take the press's word for what happened. The public got to see with their own eyes the president blame America and Vladimir Putin say that, yes, he did want Donald Trump to win. And since that moment, the White House, and the public again can see this with their own eyes, has been saying that didn't happen. You can't believe any of that stuff. Here is Exhibit A. Let me show you and the viewing public what happened. There is so we all remember that Reuters reporter asked Vladimir Putin who he wanted to win. Here's this moment. Watch this.
President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
Okay, Max, now in the official transcript from the White House that is put out to the public, they have changed reality. They've changed what happened. They deleted from the transcript, President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election? They don't want the public to see that anymore. So they have taken that out of the official record of what happened. Max, explain what people are seeing with their own eyes.
Well, I mean, you've been talking about how Orwellian this is, and I think that is the right word. I mean, remember that Big Brother strategy was he who controls the past controls the future, and that seems to be what Donald Trump is doing here, is rewriting the past. Now, of course, he's doing it in such a ham-handed and ridiculous way. I really don't know who they think they're going to fool, unless it's Fox News viewers who seem to be endlessly gullible and willing to accept whatever the president says. Yesterday, there was another example of this, Allison. I don't know if you're going to get to this, but the president's tweet about, I'm very concerned that Russia will be fighting hard to have an impact on the upcoming election based on the fact that no president has been tougher on Russia than me. They will be pushing very hard for the Democrats. They definitely don't want Trump.
Right.
You know, that's the exact opposite of reality. That's the very reality that they're trying to airbrush out of the transcript, which is that Putin favored Trump. And, you know, as I write in the Washington Post today, he didn't just favor Trump, he helped to elect Trump. The Russian campaign, I believe, had an impact on the outcome and actually helped to elect Trump. And Trump is now trying to say the opposite, that it was, you know, pretend that it was that the Russians were in favor of the Democrats and are still in favor of the Democrats.
Right. For someone who believes Putin, the President Trump should believe when Putin said what Putin said publicly at the press conference.
Right. I mean, the frightening thing, Allison, is that, you know, we can sit here and laugh about it, but the reality is most Republican voters are actually believing this nonsense. They are actually swallowing it. I mean, even if you look at the Quinnipiac poll that came out just a day ago, only 27% of all voters think that the summit in Helsinki was a success, but 60% of Republicans do. And overwhelmingly, Republicans are now seeing Vladimir Putin as a potential ally. They're seeing NATO as a bad thing. They think that the Mueller investigation is a rigged witch hunt. So, I mean, this stuff is ridiculous. But Donald Trump is actually a master of propaganda, and he realizes that by saying this over and over and over again, he's pounding it into the brains of his base, no matter how false it is.
I want to make clear, this is literally Orwellian. Literally Orwellian. Right. I want to bring people back to ninth grade English. One of the things that happened in 1984 is people went back and rewrote history, just like they rewrote the transcript, Allison, that you just read out loud there. This is literally Orwellian. And then also, just to read another quote from 1984, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. David Gregory, that is what we saw with the statement that Max just read out loud. The president flat out saying that Vladimir Putin wants to elect the Democrats when Vladimir Putin told us that he was trying to help Donald Trump.
Well, and for the president to say, don't believe what you read, don't believe what you hear, he is producing much of this content that people should ignore. So in that sense, we should take him at his word, because when he tweets things like this, they're so utterly ridiculous on their face. They're not backed up with any evidence whatsoever. It goes to Max's point, which it is propaganda. It's just to repeat it, to pound this time after time after time, getting enough people to believe it. And there, of course, are enough grains of truth in things like a lot of people believe, including prior administrations, it was a good idea to normalize and have a better relationship with Vladimir Putin and Russia until things went sour on their watch. So those things are real. It's just the execution of them. And going back to the very first point about not reporting out calls, you know, we are now, unfortunately, sort of inured to the reality of Donald Trump and his authoritarian instincts, that he acts as his own press spokesman, in a sense, his own chief of staff. But it is a breakdown of those people around him, you know, that he'll have a meeting with President Putin and we still don't know the content of that private meeting. Who is standing up for this? Or are they really standing up to him and saying, no, we're not going to go along with this? Because the thing that protects the public from these impulses from the president is a staff that leaks to a free press, number one, or that will just say, no, we're not going to go along with it.